Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at 10 different monsters that could be meta for the Open Master League. So definitely you enjoyed the last two ones for the Great League as well as the Ultra League. If you haven't seen them, I'm most likely gonna put them at the end card anyway. But yeah, definitely if you enjoy this type of videos, feel free to subscribe and also leave a like on the video. Helps me out to spread them to more people, and we can move on immediately with the first one. First one here, going to be the Darmanitan. Darmanitan is going to be an interesting Pokemon having extra Ice Fang, Avalanche plus Superpower currently. And if you can see already, Avalanche plus Superpower is an insanely good coverage for the charge move option. Avalanche going to hit something like Dragon type Pokemon as well as Flying type Pokemon, while for example a Dragon plus Ghost type Pokemon is around with the Giratina, so Superpower wouldn't be as nice against it. But Superpower is great against Pokemon like Dialga, against any kind of Steel type Pokemon, against Pokemon like Rhyperior. So definitely a cool combination here. The only issue for this Pokemon is that Ice Fang is a fast move, and Ice Fang is pretty bad for energy generation. So we're going to put on here Powder Snow. Powder Snow is something that can learn, and also the pre-evolution learns already as far as I know. I think so at least. I'm not sure about it. But it would help this Pokemon out quite a bit. Of course, it's not going to be crazy meta because it's a very squishy Pokemon, but it would be a cool squishy core breaker for like something like a closer position. If you get some energy farm down or something for a Pokemon, would be a really cool option for this one to hit hard with Avalanche as well as Powder Snow and Superpower. So I think actually this Pokemon would be really good for both PvP as well as raids, but especially this Pokemon would be really good as like a closer, and I think the stats don't really show how good this Pokemon actually can be. Also, there would be a Zen variant of both the normal Darmanitan as well as this Darmanitan, which would be very cool for the Go Battle League anyway, whenever that's gonna get released. The Zen variant of this Darmanitan, of the it's Galarian form, right? It's Galarian Darmanitan. It's actually really strong. It has like plus 1000 CP, I think, on this Pokemon, plus adding a fire type, which would be insanely cool as well. So hopefully it's going to get added soon. Next one going to be Keldeo. Here I think the move update is kinda something that most people would already expect, and it's going to be the Double Kick. Double Kick is already on the other three Pokemon that are already in like this kind of trio slash four, I don't know, like you know, like the Terrakion, Verzian as well as Cobalion. They're all kind of together, so Keldeo would really appreciate this one as well. It does learn this move for sure, and would help it out a little bit with energy generation as well, as it's going to be a step move, which is kind of cool. And so you would have a very solid Fighting type Pokemon for the current Master League meta, and it's a little bit awkward though because of course it's going to be an XL Pokemon that you can pretty difficultly get the XL for it because it's a mythical Pokemon, but it's rumored to be in elite raids for the upcoming season, so that might be a way to A, get the XL candy, but also B, get a good one, and C, maybe for them an option to release Double Kick for this Pokemon, which would be very interesting. So next one, moving on, we're going to have the Ursaluna. Ursaluna is a Pokemon that currently learns Tackle as a fast move, which a lot of people really dislike, so we're going to change that. Tackle is very decent, but there was actually an issue for Ursaluna. Basically, the only really decent good fast move before, like when it got released, was Shadow Claw, which would make this Pokemon way too overpowered. But you might think, oh, the Ursaring was able to learn Counter before, why not Counter on this Pokemon? In the game where it was released, Counter was not a move that was actually available, but now with the new generation and Ursaluna being available for the new generation, Counter is back, and Counter would be really cool for this Pokemon. As you can see, would make it really strong for the 1 and 0 shit scenario, but it would make it maybe a little bit too strong for the 2 shit scenario. For the 2 shit scenario, it gets like an average rating of 560, making it way better, but also you have to consider that a lot of baits are in that as well, with like Ice Punch and high horsepower than landing at the end of the day, so it might not be as great in like when you actually play it. But definitely this is a thing as well with those Pokemon that are not like insanely bulky but very decent. It might be very strong and would break the current meta, but it would shift to a different meta. For example, Ursaluna does not appreciate battling against something like Kyogre Crystal, getting completely destroyed by it, or against something like a Lugia. Yes, you have Ice Punch, but it's not going to help you if your Force Move was double resisted and Ice Punch is not being stabbed. So it would be still very, very solid and would definitely work out fairly well for the current meta. Also, Shadow Claw would be broken. So, moving on, a Pokemon that I would love to see buffed. And there are a lot of different kind of Dragon type Pokemon that would be a contender for this move, but I feel like this would be the one that deserves the most. Salamence. Here, the Shadow variant, normal variant is also very decent. Breaking Swipe. You would also be able to add Breaking Swipe on Garchomp, making it viable for the Master League, as well as Hydreigon. but I decided to go for Salamence in this case because it's still kind of unique. It would be very accessible for a lot of people, but also the coverage is really cool. So this Pokemon has Fire Blast, but it also has Hydro Pump, giving a different kind of coverage towards other Dragon-type Pokemon that are currently in the meta. It would have, of course, the better charge move then with Breaking Swipe compared to Dragonite, which would be, of course, very decent for it. But Dragonite is still not with that useless, because Dragonite is still going to have access to Superpower. It's kind of a similar scenario towards Rayquaza, where Rayquaza is also going to have like a different kind of coverage move with the Dragon Ascent. So basically it's just kind of in those kind of mixture, like depending on which Pokemon you kind of like. This Pokemon also only has Dragon Tail as a fast move, not Dragon Breath, which would be better usually. So I would feel like this would be one of the best changes for the meta in general, just bringing in the Salamence. Of course, Breaking Swipe might get nerfed for the upcoming season, we don't know yet, but still it would be very solid for this Pokemon nonetheless, getting a cheaper move, and it does learn this move, so why not Niantic, why not make Salamence great again, or like great for the first time. Literally, this Pokemon sucks since the beginning. Moving on, speaking of sucking since the beginning, here we're going to have Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele is a Pokemon that is currently, forced to use Confusion. Confusion is never really great, but it would be able to learn Charm as far as I know, at least it was also in the conversation back in the day. So Charm would be a very cool move for this Pokemon, adding an average rating of nearly 100, but yeah, like the crazier thing about this Pokemon is actually, like you see here, for example, it's only winning 13 wins, like has 13 wins and loses 23 in the one-shot scenario. The crazy thing about this Pokemon is the two-shot scenario. We're gonna see it here on screen. In the two-shield scenario, you're going to win 25 matchups, go for an average rating of 655, but of course you're going to lose 2 shields, and I doubt that you're gonna get the shields from the opponent. It's kinda like an Alolan Ninetales, but for the Master League, because you have access to Psyshock as well, which Alolan Ninetales as well has. So it would be a cool one. I don't think it would be broken. It has very similar stats, or like very similar performance towards Togekiss. Like if you haven't seen this actually, take a look at Togekiss in the Master League with Charm in the two-shield scenario. Might want to make a video as well when we're gonna have Master League again, not next week most likely, but whenever we have it for the next season, because Togekiss in Elite seems so strong, and Tapu Lele, if they're gonna give it Charm, would be also strong. Also, there is a move that's called Nature's Madness, which all Tapus are learning, and it's already in the code. We don't know the stat sort yet, and we don't know when it's going to get added, but it's very likely that it's gonna get added eventually. So there's also a signature move coming for this Pokemon, which is most likely, I think it is a Fairy type move. I'm not sure about it though anymore, because you rarely really use it in the main series games, so might be an interesting one there. Moving on, we're going to have Lugia next. Lugia is a Pokemon that is very decent still, like you can still use it, but with this guy take nerf, needing one extra Dragon Tail, like a lot of people kind of didn't want to do, like use this Pokemon anymore. And I feel like there is a perfect fix for this kind of issue here, because I feel like Lugia was very nice for the meta, was kind of balanced, was kind of decent to play. And the one move, the update that I would want to have here, for example, would be Psyshock. Psyshock is available for this Pokemon. It's a 45 energy move, so it means again you need only 5 Dragon Tails to get to the next charge move, which would be really nice for this Pokemon. Well, as you can see, the average rating increases by 16 and you're gonna gain plus 3 wins. I think it's still worse than the Lugia that it was prior, which I feel like is kind of solid, because you hit not as many Pokemon with Psyshock in the meta in general right now. So feel like this would be a cool idea. Still going to have a weakness basically against Dialga's typing with all the moves that it has, and it would be very solid for this Pokemon, but bringing back basically the 5 turns for the first move is really important for this Pokemon, so hopefully this is going to come into the meta. Also, more coverage. Next one, we're going to have Heatran here. Heatran is a Pokemon that I would like to see another completely new fast move for, but also it still would benefit from a certain fast move that you all know and love, which is going to be Incinerate. Incinerate is going to be the better move compared to the Fire Spin, and would learn this, like this Pokemon would learn it for sure. And you're gonna get an average rating increase of 80, which would already show like kinda how strong this Pokemon could be. Cool thing about this Pokemon as well, Magma Storm is a 40 energy move. Incinerate generates 20 energy, so you need 2 Incinerates all the time to get to a Magma Storm, so this makes this Pokemon insanely spammy. You have the option to run Iron Head on this Pokemon if you're annoyed of all the Fairy type Pokemon. So this would be a very cool core breaker in the current meta, while still kinda not having a decent other alternative move, unlike basically Stone Edge or the Iron Head, which are both kinda mid-tier. It still would have its weaknesses, especially also with Groudon as well as Kyogre around. You're not going to completely destroy them either. Still having a ton of weaknesses of ground fighting, which you see the entire time in the meta, so it still would be manageable, and I feel like this would be a great change for the meta in general. Moving on, this is honestly one of my favorite changes. I doubt we're gonna see it, but also it's kind of sim hero, so like don't be too shocked about the kind of stats that you're going to see here next. But this Pokemon, Articuno, is learning Powder Snow. And I would love to see it, because again, you're going to have a double weakness to rock types as well, so like anything that runs rock slide going to destroy you. But Powder Snow gives you just more energy generation, gives you a little bit of a faster move anyway, from 3 turns with Ice Shot to 2 turns with Powder Snow. And yes, you're going to here see that you're going to have an average rating of 550, but this is mainly also because you can bait with Icy Wind again, go for the big Hurricane later on, but just getting to the moves way easier would be so cool, and it would be like such a strong Ice type for also the Great League as well as the Ultra League, so I would love to see this Pokemon getting this move. I feel like it's definitely a decent one for this one. We would make this definitely meta, which would be in my opinion cool, especially as we had this Pokemon as a Shadow variant available the entire time for like the last 10 years, so would be very cool. As we can move on to the second to last one. I just put the stuff in that the people want to see, so here you go. Shadow Claw on Lunala. I do see why you might not want to do this, but I mean, the videos about Pokemon that would be meta, I didn't put in something like Slacking or Regigigas in this video. I thought about it, but I didn't want to do it, because I feel like it's better to just show something that could actually happen. While it looks crazy on paper, in the 2-shot scenario, Lunala actually drops below a 500 average rating, which is interesting, showcasing kinda the issue of having only nuke moves available for you. So this would be basically a Kofek Regus, but for the Master League, which would be kind of interesting. So you have again Shadow Claw as a fast move, would have Shadow Ball as your main damaging move, and then some kind of very high energy secondary move. It also learns Psychic as well as Future Sight, which are not really that needed in the current meta. Moonblast gives it a little bit more option. There are other options that you could also go for, which would make this Pokemon a little bit better, but not meta, which is kind of sad, which is Hex or Psycho Cut. Both of them going to increase the rating a little bit. A Psycho Cut a little bit more than Hex, but yeah, Psycho Cut would most likely be the middle ground play if you want to make it a little bit viable. Again, also, issue with Exile so far. Most likely going to be in raids eventually though, so hopefully it's going to happen soon. But very interesting Pokemon for sure. Hopefully we're going to get a buff for Lunala. Maybe like Confusion just buff in general for this move would be kind of cool, but who knows. Final one for the day, we're going to have the Hisuian Avalugg. Hisuian Avalugg is going to have currently access to Powder Snow, Rock Slide as well as Blizzard. Of course, there is an obvious move change that I would like to see and would make this Pokemon way better, even though you see already the win percentage plus the average rating is not even that bad, but nobody is using it because it's not really the greatest one in the current meta, mainly also because of the weaknesses. And this would be of course the Avalanche here. Avalanche would be also a 45 energy move, giving you Powder Snow Avalanche. You have that already on Mamoswine. It's also not way too broken on this Pokemon. This Pokemon is just a little bit more bulky than Mamoswine, but has a way worse typing. And also way worse coverage with Rock Slide, because Avalanche Rock Slide can hit the same Pokemon with mainly flying type Pokemon there. Of course, Avalanche is a little bit better than Rock Slide in the current meta, as they're going to be also able to hit something like the Dragon-type Pokemon for super effective damage. But yeah, again, you still have a double weakness to fighting as well as Metagross, so I don't think that this Pokemon would be too broken with Avalanche on this one. But yeah, definitely try to keep those Pokemon if you have them. Also, let me know in the comment section what other Pokemon do you think would need just one move to be meta for the Great League, Ultra League, as well as the Master League. Let me know in the comment section below. And also, leave a like on the video. That's going to be it for this one. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.